And then he just makes this absolutely declarative statement. There will be no sign given, but the sign of Yonah. There's Yonah. Now, a lot of people, when they read this, they say, oh, but I know what the sign of Jonah is. That's that Jesus would be in the tomb 3 days and 3 nights, like Jonah was in the belly of the fish. But this text doesn't say that. That's very important. He's talking code. He says, you're evil for wanting a sign, but you're going to get a sign. You're going to get the sign of Jonah. So the code here is sign of Jonah.
World without all whales entirely, starting with our own history. In ancient times, and I wasn't around then, people believed that 3 huge whales carry our planet on their backs. The whales swam across the endless ocean of life. Of course, that was before astronomers discovered that the Earth floats in space.
Taniwa. In Maori mythology, taniwa are dragon-like beings that also sometimes resemble whales or sharks. They live in both salt and freshwater environments, including deep rivers, seas, and caves, often favoring dangerous currents and large waves. Some legends claim that they can burrow through the earth, uprooting trees along the way, and sometimes reaching the ocean, thus creating new channels and harbors. Rumor has it that Wellington Harbor, which goes by the Maori name Te Wanganui Atara, was carved out by 2 taniwa. In some traditions, taniwa are highly respected as protective guardians or kaitiaki of people and places. They save people from drowning and warn of approaching enemies by communicating through priests. As long as the taniwa are treated with respect, they tend to reciprocate. Other tales depict them as dangerous and predatory creatures who eat humans and kidnap women as wives. In some cases, they're charged with ensuring that people follow the principles of tapu, a Polynesian concept of spiritual restriction. There are stories of both land and sea battles between humans and taniwa, with the humans usually outsmarting the taniwa and emerging victorious. Taniwa are still very much a part of Maori culture, although they now often symbolize a troublesome event or incident rather than an actual creature, according to Maori scholar Ranginui Walker. The Maori have argued in various court cases for the stopping of construction in places connected to the taniwa, including a successful campaign to reroute a state highway and a proposed jail site that was ultimately approved. Thanks for watching.
Uklet is a spirit that takes the form of both a wolf and an orca. It is a vicious, dangerous beast which lives in the oceans or Arctic Sea. And its tracks can be recognized because they are wolf tracks that lead to and from the ocean. In the original folklore, Uklet were gigantic orcas who could shape-shift into equally massive wolves to hunt on land. In traditional art they are usually depicted in mid-transformation, with the features of both wolves and whales. In Yupik myth, Uklet are shape-shifting evil spirits. They appear as either orcas or as wolves, and live among ice floes around the Bering Strait. There is a popular story of how the Uklet came to be. It's about a man who is obsessed with the sea and wants to be with it all the time. After coming off the shore, he returns to his village, but his people don't recognize him, because he has become too obsessed with the ocean and he gets banned from the village. While out on his own, he finds a pack of wolves, and because he is so hungry, like a wolf, for revenge, he becomes one with them. One day, his affection for the ocean becomes so insane that he jumps into the ocean, to be with it. He then transforms into an orca. Thus, he now swims as an orca, being at ease, but whenever his hunger for revenge is once again awoken, he comes to land and transforms into a wolf. Often, dogs seen walking to the ocean or into it are considered evil. Inuit fishermen told tales of how they did not know what was attacking them while trying to get fish out in the Arctic Sea. The only thing they could think of was the wolf tracks coming out of the water. Coincidentally, another name for an orca is sea wolf, stemming from a time when it was believed that the ocean and the land shared variants of the same animals. The Uklet is very ferocious, and even attacks you if you have fallen asleep near the edge of the sea. Sometimes it goes as far as the Inuit camp to snatch them up. It has a furious appetite and would eat anything that's close by. Uklet are known for their viciousness, and they hunt humans and animals alike. When hungry, they become wolves and run across the land searching for prey. Once they have eaten their fill, they return to the water and assume their orca forms once more. Wolf tracks leading to or from the ocean are an indicator that the animal may be nearby. Of course, this doesn't necessarily mean that wolf tracks near the sea belong to Atlas. For all we know, they may actually belong to Arctic wolves. Arctic wolves can swim in icy water. This would be a reasonable explanation as to why there are always footprints leading out of the water. When they are whales, the cluts seem to be much gentler, even going so far as to mingle with other orcas. Then these creatures act as any other whale would, and only their higher intelligence marks them as different. Until recently, these tales were considered nothing more than myth, thought up to scare children away from dangerous waters. It was not until a young magi happened to witness a wolf morph before his eyes that the stories were believed. This man, who goes by the name Atl, remained with the Arcanans for nearly a year, learning from them and exploring the Arcane.
Vadhu Island's waters are taken over by a shimmering sight. They light up, a glittery spread of blue reflecting the sky. This island in particular is known for its amazing sea of stars, where the waters glow neon blue at night. A tiny microorganism, a phytoplankton called dinoflagellates, react with oxygen under the water and is triggered to produce this blue glow when it feels movement. Therefore, waters where these small phytoplankton live sparkle as if mirroring or capturing the stars.
There's a really massive black hole in the center of the galaxy. But then something else was discovered in this region, something that still doesn't really have a very good explanation. The objects that are currently referred to as the G objects. The objects that might look something like this. Although this is just the artist's impression right now, and even today it's still not entirely clear what exactly these objects are. In a nutshell though, these also seem to be stars, but stars that approach the black hole close enough for them to start to kind of fall apart and to get disrupted quite a lot, just to then rebuild themselves as they move away from the black hole. So they're sort of like stars, but not really. They're more like gas clouds. And although the original discovery itself already created quite a lot of mysteries about these objects, with potentially a completely new class of objects nobody's ever seen before, what became even more interesting and entirely different. And the paper itself is very intriguing in that it presents a really strong argument. But anyway, let's take baby steps. First of all, I wanted to start with this iconic video right here. This right here is the result of years and years of work that then culminated in the incredible award in physics, the Nobel Prize in Physics in 2020. This was the confirmation that there was a really massive black hole in the center of our own galaxy. And this short video shows you approximately 20 years of orbits of various stars in the vicinity. Now, the most famous of these stars, and the one that's been studied the most, is the star known as S2. There are actually quite a lot of these so-called S stars in the orbit of the central black hole, which, in case you didn't know, is known as Sagittarius A star, and it's visible right there in the center. But S2 is particularly important because a few years ago, just like approximately 100 years ago, it allowed the scientists to prove something really important. It allowed the scientists to finally confirm a lot of Einstein's ideas and a lot of Einstein's theories. And ironically, just like when Einstein proved his theory of relativity by using the precession of the orbit of Mercury just over 100 years ago, by observing the orbit of the S2 stars at the closest point to the black hole, These scientists were able to confirm various effects that are expected from such a massive object, such as, for example, the redshifting effect of the light itself, which of course once again confirmed that there's a really massive black hole in the center of the galaxy. But then something else was discovered in this region, something that still doesn't really have a very good explanation. The objects that are currently referred to as the G objects. The objects that might look something like this. Although this is just the artist's impression right now, and even today it's still not entirely clear what exactly these objects are. In a nutshell though, these also seem to be stars, but stars that approach the black hole close enough for them to start to kind of fall apart and to get disrupted quite a lot, just to then rebuild themselves as they move away from the black hole. So they're sort of like stars, but not really. They're more like gas clouds. And although the original discovery itself already created quite a lot of mysteries about these objects, with potentially a completely new class of objects nobody's ever seen before, what became even more interesting...
Want to take it to the next level? Visit the underwater waterfall. This waterfall can be found near Africa and South America and is caused by the strength of the current that pushes water downwards. The scientific term for this underwater waterfall is actually Kelvin-Helmholtz waves. But underwater waterfall does sound cooler. But all may not be exactly as it seems. What you're witnessing that looks like an underwater waterfall is actually sand from the shores of Mauritius being driven by ocean currents off of that high coastal shelf and down into the darker ocean depths off the southern tip of the island. If you're worried that Mauritius is about to lose all of its beautiful white sand to the depths of the ocean, don't.
The spirit began to grow tired from the long dreaming, but knew the dream was not finished and wanted the dream to continue. So life was sent into the dream to make it real, and for creator spirits to continue the dreaming. So the spirit of all life sent the secret of dreaming into the world. And the secret of dreaming entered into the spirit of Barramandi, who is the fish. And Barramandi descended to the deep, still waters, relaxed it in the calm, and began to dream. The dream took Barramandi to waves and wet sand. But Barramandi did not understand the dream and wanted to dream only of the deep, still waters. So Barramandi passed the secret of dreaming to the spirit of the Karaki, who is the turtle.
How did she do that?
Beneath the cosmos, surrounded by water and mist, swims Bahamut, a fish of incomprehensible dimensions who carries the world on his back. No human eye can see Bahamut, but without him, all humans would be plunged into darkness.
In the sea, which the Greeks call Aspidochelon, and we call the whale. Whales are creatures with huge bodies and mouths, which draw in and spout out water. The whale raises its back above the waves, and to passers-by, it seems to stay in the same place. The winds blow sea sand onto it, and it becomes a level place where greenery can grow. Unwary sailors often mistake the whale for an island and beach their ships on its back. Then they light fires, and when the creature feels the heat of the fire, it dives beneath the waves and drags the ship and her crew down with it into the depths. When this sea monster is hungry, it opens its jaws and gives out a sweet scent. Little fish smell this and unwittingly gather in its mouth. As soon as its mouth is full, that monster snaps its jaws shut and eats the fish whole. It was the whale that swallowed the prophet Jonah and held him in its belly for 3 days. Its stomach is so large that it could be mistaken for hell.
These nomadic creatures spent their winters in a majestic, luxurious city called Finfokahim. The location of this city is unknown to humans, but is thought to be at the bottom of the sea. Finfolk spend their summers on dry land in Orkney. Their summer home is said to be on a vanishing, magical island called Hildeland. According to some versions of the legend, Hildeland was eventually stolen from the Finfolk and renamed. Finfolk have a reputation for stealing humans from their spouses and turning the kidnapped victims into servants. To escape from a Finfolk, simply throw a silver coin or object at them. They have an affinity for the precious metal.
And then he just makes this absolutely declarative statement. There will be no sign given, but the sign of Yonah. There's Yonah. Now, a lot of people, when they read this, they say, oh, but I know what the sign of Jonah is. That's that Jesus would be in the tomb 3 days and 3 nights, like Jonah was in the belly of the fish. But this text doesn't say that. That's very important. He's talking code. He says, you're evil for wanting a sign, but you're going to get a sign. You're going to get the sign of Jonah. So the code here is sign of Jonah. In other words, and it doesn't mean the sign of Jonah, meaning
what they were seeing. This looks like some type of a man flying in a comet. But what we can deduce with science is that anything that's flying within our atmosphere that's a high energy source is going to create a gaseous environment. It's going to create phosphorescence in our atmosphere. Anything that interacts with our gaseous atmosphere is going to instantly create phosphorescence.
Why all their other senses are exceptionally well developed. Some people also believe that killer whales have a sixth sense. They will avoid hunters even if they have traveled the same route for hundreds of years, and they will do something fantastic right when the photographers and killer whale watchers have put their cameras away or their battery has just died. And now for number
Fish. The Lady of Miquelon. When all this was done, Quetzalcoatl and Huitzilopochtli created some water, and in it they placed a giant fish. The fish was called Cipactli, and the earth was made out of the body of the fish. Oxomoco and Cipactonal.
Lived in Egypt.
It's all getting sucked into it. Look at that.
Look at the showing the tombs of Mary, Hudson, and Eric. She's generally seen to be accompanied by 2 female elves, named Claire and Anna, who appeared in the garden after her wherever she went. She was stayed on the ground during the night, and these 2 grotesque attendants were entrusted with her safety as well as her amusement. Akhenaten's friends. The simple and humble manner in which Akhenaten is represented by his artist, surrounded by his children, is an indication that they have demanded much homage.
Under my radio's the point and shoot. Go take a picture of that. I think we have a whale cloud. That even the real thing? It is now.
He's waking up. Get ready! Get ready! It's gonna be a triple breach! 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 No.
Fuck with me or my son ever again. Look at him. Look at them both. Bam, dude, he's off the screen. Look at that. There's the bird right there. It's off the screen, and there's his son. You don't fuck with his son. Look. I'm not making that up. There's a bird. Dude, that is the greatest whale I've ever seen. Dude, it is endless. Look at it. It's been going like that for 10 minutes. I just decided to record it now. Bam, it is just off the charts, dude. And you know the bird's always with the whale. Not always. Almost always. Rainbow snake. Rainbow snake coming out the whale. Look at the size that I do. You see that bad boy coming out of it? The night sky just lit up for me. It's not even that bright anymore.